Medical malpractice, a form of personal injury, meaning if somebody gets hurt as a result of a doctor doing something wrong, that person has their medical expenses taken care of and also is paid and reimbursed for the kind of hassles that they had as a result of that wrongdoing. Well, medical malpractice, while a personal injury case, is viewed by some people as a little bit different. And a number of states have brought caps on, and they've limited the amount of money that can be paid by juries for injuries that arise from medical malpractice. And the reason for that is that they don't want to offend the doctors practicing in their state, and they want to have doctors continue to practice in their state, and therefore they don't want to have large awards being brought. At least that's the motivation. Some people say the motivation is that insurance companies just want to make a little more money, and they simply want to bring down the likelihood that they're going to have to pay out a lot of money if one of their insureds messes up. Well, anyway, that brings us to this week's case. It involves Georgia, the state of Georgia. And there was a woman who went in for a facelift. The facelift was botched. Bad facelift. Left her horribly disfigured for the rest of her life. She brought claim against the doctor who did the facelift. The jury said this guy really messed up, and they awarded $1.3 million. Now, $900,000 of that $1.3 million was for the hassle she was going to have the rest of her life going around with a face that wasn't at all like the face that she wanted to have. Well, when it was over and done with, and after the jury voted in favor of the money that they voted in favor of, the defense said, wait a second, you can't get that amount of money because here in Georgia, we have a cap on how much can be paid under medical malpractice for general damages, the pain, suffering, the hassles, all that stuff, of $350,000. $350,000. $900,000 is almost 3 times that amount. You can't get that amount. All you can get is $350,000. While the judge looked at this and after hearing arguments said, you know what? I find that that cap on general damages, pain, suffering, hassles, is unconstitutional. It's unconstitutional because it denies the right to a jury trial. Here the jury looked at it, they made a decision, and they decided this was the reasonable amount. And if you say that they can only be limited to awarding $350,000, then you're denying them the right to make these decisions. You're denying a jury trial. Went up to the Georgia Supreme Court. After a hearing, the Georgia Supreme Court said, we agree with the trial court. We agree that this is unconstitutional because essentially it does away with a jury trial. So, even though there was that cap enacted by the legislature in Georgia, the courts found it to be unconstitutional. But you know what? That's not the case in all states. Many states have caps like this. Look at the case of California. In California, there's a cap of $250,000. That cap has been attacked as being unconstitutional. It's gone all the way to the California Supreme Court, and the California Supreme Court there said, no, we don't see a problem with this. We see that there's a reasonable relationship between having this cap and encouraging doctors to practice in California. Therefore, because there's a rational basis for this, and because there's an identifiable state interest in having caps on these awards, we find them to be constitutional. So here we have 2 states on opposite sides of the country. We have Georgia, we have California. Both had basically identical laws. One state, Georgia, found that law to be unconstitutional. The other state, California, found it to be constitutional. How can this happen? Well, sometimes the constitutions in states will vary a little bit, but generally most state constitutions are pretty similar to the U.S. Constitution. So how can this happen? Well, it can happen because the way in which people interpret those words on a piece of paper can vary substantially. At the end of the day, there's a big difference. There's a big difference. And if someone who brings a case in Georgia, they can have a jury award them substantially more money than someone who brings a case in California. And some people will say that's blatantly unfair. But you know what? We have 50 separate states, 50 separate states. And those separate states can go about doing things the way they want to do them. We sometimes forget that. But in fact, while it is the United States, it's a United States made up of 50 separate states. And things vary, and things vary very significantly, as we see in this week's case. All right, we bring you these cases every week so you understand the law, you see how it works. My name's David Allen.